Welcome, you beautiful Reds, to the 100% United podcast. What an unbelievable night on Wednesday. We're still on Cloud 9 here. I'm your host, TC, and here's my co-host, Scott. Hello, mate.
Hello, TC. Hello, Reds.
On today's show, we look back on that magical night in Paris. We discuss Ole's revelation that he only has a contract with Manchester United. We preview the Arsenal game on Sunday. You know, we all love a trip to the Emirates, but really tonight's podcast is a celebration of Manchester United reclaiming their seat at Europe's top table. We're into the quarterfinals of the European Cup for the first time in 5 years. Scott, incredible scenes there at the end. What a night.
Incredible. Unbelievable. It's been 2 days. I'm still coming up with new superlatives about it. Don't think I've felt this proud of our Reds in years.
I was just going to ask, when was the last time you felt like that watching Manchester United?
Probably 2008 when we managed to beat Chelsea in the Champions League final. You can't really pinpoint it. You know, it was such a backs to the wall situation. As much as we could predict that we could do something like that, to actually do it is a whole nother story.
Yes, Scott, and what an ending. I mean, we certainly don't do it the easy way, Manchester United. But I mean, there at the end, VAR comes into play and Marcus Rashford steps up with his first competitive penalty for Manchester United and send us all into ecstasy.
Yeah, nerves much stronger than mine. I was freaking out. I was hiding behind the couch. I could barely watch. Yeah, I'm just immensely proud of him and immensely proud of everyone. And the celebrations were mirrored exactly what I was doing.
Yes, I'm sure people can hear I've lost my voice a little bit. Pretty sure that's the same with many millions of Reds all around the world. We all went absolutely mad. I've seen the videos of people in Kenya celebrating. Obviously back in Manchester, in the Parc des Princes, you've got the ex-players celebrating. You've got Fergie and Eric down in the dressing room with Ole. I mean, what a night. Unbelievable.
Yeah, I was reading that even United fans were trying to take selfies with Ed Woodward at Charles de Gaulle after the game, which just shows how the spirits are completely changed from where they were a few months ago, and everyone's just proud to be a Red again.
They really are. I mean, it really does now feel that we're going back to where we belong. It feels like like Eric said, we've got our spirit back. It feels like we're united again. And it's not just a feeling, you know, the results speak for themselves. This is a mad run we've been on since Ole came in.
I just can't believe 9 away wins in a row now, and the feeling just keeps getting better and better. I mean, a few weeks ago when we beat Arsenal at the Emirates, I was feeling an 8 out of 10, and then we went and beat Chelsea, it goes up to a 9, and then it's gone completely off the scale nowadays.
It's unbelievable. I mean, I know that Ole's unveiled the fact that he doesn't have a contract with Mulder anymore. He only has a contract with Manchester United. It seems like it's only a matter of time before he becomes our permanent manager. I personally am not bothered whether we wait till the end of the season, we give it him now. I'm sure behind the scenes we've told him what's going on. There's no other option. Ole's our boss. That's it.
Yeah, we've been saying for a few weeks there's only one man for the job. I don't mind the waiting around just as long as he does get the job in the end. I don't think that you need to tip the boat right now. Everything's better than we could have ever planned it. Maybe things could change if you were to give him the permanent, announce the news now. I wouldn't tip the scales.
I don't think it's necessary to do it. I'm not sure it'd have too much of an effect either way. But, you know, when things are going so well, why bother changing them? But there's no other option. Ole understands the club. He's tactically brilliant. He's gone away to Paris there, and we've got a game plan. We've done it. We played it to a T. We against all the odds, against all the predictions coming in, apart from in this podcast, and we pulled it off. Absolutely incredible stuff.
I actually think, you know, we started with maybe a bit of a back five, a bit of a, you know, by right back, bit of a back four, hybrid back five. And it wasn't really, you know, we managed to get the early goal, but after 25, 30 minutes, we only had 25% possession, struggling a little bit to get on the ball and actually do something. They were all over us for periods. And he's had the presence of mind and the guts to change it in 39 minutes, you know. Making substitutions before half-time, even if there are little injuries going on, is always a very gutsy call. And I just love that he has the confidence in himself and the whole coaching team to be able to make those calls, and they certainly benefited. I thought Delot was, even the 5-6 minutes he played before half-time, he was fantastic. We went to more of a 2 up front and seemed to benefit from it.
Well, yeah, it did seem that we were sort of playing a back three, back five, back four at different times early on there. Of course, we flew out of the traps. The first couple of minutes were sensational. We had Fred, the Lander reducer on Di Maria in the first minute, which which got me excited, of course. And then in the second minute, we had Lukaku bursting through and bursting between Thiago Silva and Gianluigi Buffon and sliding in from an obscene angle at full pace. What a finish from Big Rom. Unbelievable start.
It was wonderful. Reminded me of his goal in the pre-season friendly a few years ago against City. But it's actually what we were saying, that we wanted him to be more of an advanced forward instead of these deep lying target man, and get on the last man and be able to pressurise their mistakes at the back if they were to have any. Because without Marquinhos back there and without Dani Alves at right back, they did have quite an inexperienced back four, and we were able to capitalise on some of their errors and some of their nerves, because it was the biggest game of a lot of their careers, and a lot of pressure on them to win the game and to do the right thing. And I think we managed to capitalise on some early nerves.
Absolutely, and definitely a mention for Marcus Rashford, because it was his press that led to the wayward pass, which led to Lukaku bursting through and leaving everyone for dead. So definitely, again, that front two working as a partnership, working as a pair, hunting in packs, like I've said, and getting their reward as well after just 2 minutes.
Yeah, and the fullback, Luke Shaw and Ashley Young, were both really critical in making sure that their fullbacks didn't have any time on the ball. Had to play quick passes and nervy passes, and we managed to get possession of the ball a bit better with some mistakes that their fullbacks made that were brought on by our fullbacks high pressing them.
Yeah, I mean, after the goal, naturally we did sit back. You go up away in Paris. Naturally, as the underdogs, you're gonna retreat a little bit. It did mean that we had quite a while where we were under the cosh. It wasn't like they were tearing us to ribbons, but on 12 minutes, of course, Mbappe found a bit of space. Bailly played him on, and he found Bernat at the far post again. Bailly losing him at the far post, and it was 1-1 in a flash. And it was a bit worrying then, wasn't it, Scott? Because the ease with which they unpicked us, you're thinking, oh God, is this going to be a long night? But we regrouped fantastically. We didn't have much possession. I know we were watching the stats, and it got down to 13% at one stage. And after about 25 minutes, do you think?
Yeah, the possession stats.
Yeah. But at the same time, it wasn't like they were having loads of shots on goal. I mean, they had 12 shots in the match and 4 on target. We had 4 on target too. So it wasn't like they were peppering Dave. Dave didn't have loads of saves to make. But it was a worrying time for that first sort of 30 minutes after Lukaku's goal.
I think that the goal that we conceded, there was a little bit of confusion in the central defenders coming from Lindelof and Smalling, although it was probably the only mistake they made all game. Managed Mbappe to sort of get that loose ball and come through. We were both begging for offside, but
Well, I'll have to interject there. I must say that the Smalling and Lindelof they played him offside.
Okay.
It was Bailly who played him on. If Bailly had kept the line, Mbappe would have been offside. So it really was on Bailly, unfortunately.
yeah, it was a shame. But in the end of the day, it was the perfect thing, right? Because it seemed to settle them down a bit and seemed like they had it, and it was beneficial to our game plan that we didn't just have them storming on our goal all game. It managed to sort of calm us down a bit.
Yeah.
I have to say, we were watching the game again on the phone, and around 25 minutes, I said to you that I wasn't really comfortable with how we were, and you said that you'd much prefer it to be 1-1 than 0-0. We managed to already get one of the goals. We knew we needed to score at least 2. And it turns out you were right. A few minutes later, Lukaku managed to capitalise on another bit of nerves from Buffon. And I did see it, the forecast when it was raining. I thought it was going to be, a slippy ball, quick pitch, and we could manage to play our game a bit better and hopefully capitalise on some mistakes.
Yeah, well, Rashford wound up from 30 yards, didn't he? Against Buffon again, no respect whatsoever. Big old dipper. And Buffon, I mean, it was awful goalkeeping, wasn't it? He got it all wrong. Coughed it straight up to Romelu Lukaku. You've got to say, great stuff from Lukaku. Solskjaer-esque, being on the last man there, following up on everything, just waiting for that opportunity and slamming it past Buffon for his 3rd brace in a row.
Yeah, he predicted the spill, and he was already following up on it before Buffon had even touched it. So you have to say it was a really predatory instinct there from Lukaku. And we were saying last episode how we thought that he was really coming into a great patch of form at the moment, and a striker with confidence is their best weapon, right? And we just managed to see it before it happened.
It was great stuff. Really, really. I mean, it was an ice cold performance from Lukaku. He was pressing, he was bullying, he was slamming past people. He was controlling that zone up there, and he was on his own quite a lot. Of course, Rashford was helping him out as much as he could, but a really, really, really strong display from Lukaku again.
Yeah, and it seemed like their defenders didn't know how to defend such a powerful forward and such a pacey forward. When he does build up a head of speed, he is really difficult to defend against. I mean, he was
He
fantastic.
was, and we did discuss that he might be the kind of striker that Paris would struggle to defend against, the kind of striker that they're not used to coming up against. And it turns out that that we were spot on there. And then obviously following the goal, another few nervy minutes, and then Ollie pulled the trigger on Delot coming on for Bailly. Bailly did limp a little bit as he was coming off, but do you think that was maybe out of a bit of embarrassment there, and it was a tactical decision rather than an injury?
I think he had just received a bit of a reducer a few minutes before, but I mean, we all know Eric Bailly for being pretty brave and pretty resilient, but it might have been, who knows? But he did look a little bit out of depth there at right back, but
He did.
it was all part of the plan, and he was the first one on the pitch at the end of the day.
He was, and realistically, those decisions have got to be made. The club comes before any man, and Bailly was the weak link at the time on the day. There's been many times when he's been our best defender on the pitch by miles, so I'm not digging him out at all. On this given day, it wasn't the right time for him to be playing at right back. Delot came on and again shone. He's really a little gem, isn't he?
Yeah, I'm really every time I see him, I like him more and more.
Yes, and when he came on, we just seemed to have more of an outlet. There was more of an outlet. We seemed more solid. He's just he seems to have an infectious personality. He seems to bring a positive energy onto the field every time he comes on.
Yeah, it's that fearlessness we were talking about a few days ago.
Yeah, it is, and it's seeping throughout the whole team, isn't it? It's spreading throughout the whole team. We've got. You see the passion of the boys before the game, coming off after the goals, at the end. It meant that much to them, and it's not something we've seen throughout the sort of last 5 years, really, is it?
I sort of see a bit of Rafael da Silva in him, just a complete commitment to the club and just a positive attitude and a fearlessness about him. I love him.
That's an absolute superb comparison, Scott. That's spot on. You know, I absolutely love Rafael da Silva. Both the brothers, Fabio and Rafael. I did prefer Rafael. I thought he's absolutely amazing, and that's a really great comparison. Delot is similar to him. Maybe he's got a little bit more in his locker than Rafael going forward, but passion wise, yeah, I think that's a spot on comparison.
Thanks.
And then obviously went into half time, 2-1 leaders. Obviously praying for a miracle. Paris Saint-Germain had a little huddle in the tunnel before they came back on. And, we entered the second half. Again, we were still on the back foot. But like Ollie said, we were really waiting to get to the last sort of 10 minutes with a chance and then pounce like Manchester United do.
Yeah, I really don't like watching us just soak up pressure. It seemed like they were all over us at times, and there were a few really, really nervy moments, but we managed to keep our composure, keep our shape. We had moved more into a 4-4-2, with Ashley Young maybe coming in to be more of a right centre-back and Delot coming back to be more of a right back, to keep that back five if he did want to soak up a lot of pressure. But it was just good to see the commitment to the tactics and the composure to be able to carry them out.
Yes, exactly. And we do have a flexibility under Ollie, don't we? We have a fixed mentality in terms that we're always positive, we're always on the front foot, but we are flexible. We can absorb pressure for a little bit. We can change tactics when we change formation a few times on Wednesday night. And it seems the team buys into it. There's no disputes between the players. There's no dissent. People are following Ollie and they're following his orders.
I think you just touched on exactly what it is. They've completely bought into the tactics and the belief. Yeah, he's just brought this whole new attitude of positive thinking and positive playing and play for each other. And it's just beautiful to see.
And can we have a quick mention for obviously that period of time when we were struggling with a lack of possession and we were trying to hold them out. The midfield three of McTominay, Andreas, and Fred, for different reasons. Obviously, they've had question marks against them. McTominay is obviously a youngster. Andreas, again, a youngster who's gone on loan, never quite stepped up to the first team yet until now. And Fred, of course, has come in and had a few doubts about him. He's been in and out of the team. But I must say the three of them as a unit were absolutely superb on Wednesday night.
Yeah, it was wonderful to see. Especially, I think McTominay was. He would definitely be getting a bottle of champagne if I could give a few out. But he often reminds me of Darren Fletcher, how he comes into the squad and there are a few doubts here and there, and over time, Darren Fletcher became absolutely undroppable. He was one of the first names on the team sheet. And after last performance, I would McTominay would be one of the first names on the team sheet for Arsenal on Sunday.
Yes, he was superb. Real energy, maturity, absolutely superb. And the other two too, like I say. And yeah, we did have to struggle through. We did have to struggle through that little period. And then Ollie started rolling the dice on 80 minutes. He brought Andreas off and brought Teeth Chong on, another academy graduate. And we started turning up the pressure a little bit.
Yeah, and it was amazing to see us still be able to keep our defensive composure, even though we took one of our defensive midfielders on the night out of there. It was, again, a commitment to the overall game plan. He probably had it on his game plan that he wanted to make those substitutions if we still did have a chance, and
Yes.
he just has the guts to be able to do
He
it.
does, and of course, so Chongi came on the 80th, and in the 87th minute, he withdrew the skipper Ashley Young, and Mason Greenwood came on to become the youngest United player to appear in the Champions League since Gerard Piqué 15 years ago. 17 years, 156 days old. What a night for the kid, eh?
Yeah, a night he'll never forget, for sure.
Absolutely. He was the first to knee slide alongside Marcus Rashford, but we will get to the penalty in a second. Obviously, Greenwood came on, pressure started, and then we had that mad VAR situation, Rashford stepping up. We had that 3 minutes in between. How did the ref add on an extra 6 minutes? How did we get to 99 in the end, Scott?
I don't know. I don't know how many times I said blow the whistle, ref, in that last 6 minutes. You were telling me to shut up at the end of it. I don't know how he managed to get all those minutes. And that is something I think we do need to figure out with VAR. Whether they need to put a board up and say how many minutes after that again, I don't know. But there can't be a amount of time given at the discretion of the referee after he's going to add on as much time as he wants.
Yes. That's a very good point. And what I will say, what I did love before the penalty is, of course, Rashford was getting ready. And we had Bernat came along and started trying to talk to Rasha and a few other PSG players. And Fred was the first in there, came in there and started shoving Bernat away. And I was like, yeah, you go, Fred, because he's been a guy who we wanted to step up and show a bit more passion. He has been a bit passive in some of his performances, but on Wednesday night, before the first minute was up, he had fouled Di Maria, and he was the first there pushing Bernat out the way. So that Rashford didn't have even longer to wait because he'd already waited 3 minutes.
Yeah, he showed a lot of passion that night, and passion will endear you to every United fan out there.
Absolutely. And then obviously...
Sorry, I do have to say, in the 10 minutes before the penalty, when Mbappe went through on goal and then they had that other huge chance, Di Maria flashed a shot wide as well, it did sort of start reminding me of the final in '99 when Bayern had a few huge chances at the end of the game to wrap the game up. Mehmet Scholl hit the post, Janka hit the bar, and you sort of thought then that, wow, this might be our night at the end of the night, and it seemed to just correlate a little bit in my eyes. I remember saying to you that when Mbappe did go through on goal, I thought, oh god, this is it, this is curtains. And then when we managed to get out of it, another unbelievable challenge from Chris Smalling, blocked the rebound. I thought things might turn in our favour, and they managed to.
Well, you didn't just think it, Scott, because you said it to me. You said I think this is going to be our night. After that, you were like, this is like 99, and you mentioned Carsten Janka and Mehmet Scholl. And it did start to feel like that, didn't it? I must say, actually, from before the match, during the match, although my nerves were all over the shop, I still believed we were going to do it. From the beginning to the end, even on the 90th minute, I just thought we were going to pull out of somewhere. I never stopped believing, and I think I'm not alone. I think there's many United fans who felt that way, and that's the belief that we have now.
100%.
And then obviously we had those 6 minutes. David De Gea decided to do that little slap punch when the ball came over and then it went out to Di Maria. Hearts in the mouth stuff again, Scott. God alive.
Every so often he does show that he's human after all, but...
Can he... Sorry to interrupt, Scott, but can he show he's human against Wolves, like when we're 3-0 up or something like that? Is that... is a bit better than when we've just scored a penalty in the last minute in the Champions League against all the odds. It's not the time to be showing he's not human, right?
I think it just echoed all of our nerves.
It really did. And don't forget, Dave's been on this ride with us. He's obviously won the title with us, but then he's been down on these lows with us throughout these years. You know, if you look throughout that squad, I'd say, you know, Dave is as much of a red as anyone in that squad now, and it means that much to him. But we could have done without it, buddy. Dear me.
Yeah, it was all hands on deck, wasn't it? It was I was still behind the couch at the time, and it was tough to watch, but it just made it so much better in the end, right?
It really did. And when that final whistle went, of course, we exploded. United boys exploded. We had people climbing into the crowd. We had people standing on the advertising hoardings, hugs all round, kisses. Gary Neville was trying to pull Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, just bedlam.
Yeah, I think the best video I saw was Patrice Evra and Paul Pogba in the United directors box, right next to the owners of PSG, and they were saying EC say Manchester, and just mirroring their PSG slogan with a little remix of their own. It was just fantastic to see.
It was indeed, and I must say, when I watched the match back, I saw the top of the Parc de France said "Paris est magique," Paris is magical, and I must say, I totally agree.
Me too. I did notice Neymar's cap said "Just do it," and I thought, yeah, we just did, mate.
Yeah, apparently Neymar tried to burst into the ref's room after the match.
Too little, too late, mate.
It was indeed, and now that's 21 consecutive away matches that we've scored in. It's equals a club record. November to September 1957, the Busby Babes, an unbelievable record again.
Yeah, whenever you beat a record that Fergie couldn't even beat, it's unbelievable, right? It's because you think Fergie's done everything, but you didn't manage to score 21 games in a row.
Yeah, I think Fergie might have a little hand in all this as well, Scott.
I think more than just a little one, mate.
And also, another nice little stat is there's only one team in Europe, unfortunately it's Manchester City, that have won more matches than United since Ole took charge in the top 5 leagues. We've won 14, City won 15. That's in all of Europe's top leagues, top 5 European leagues. Unbelievable stuff.
Yeah, I guarantee there's not a team that's just won nine away wins in a row, though.
Absolutely incredible stuff, really. I mean, our away form is just off the chain. It's unbelievable.
It just keeps getting better as well. These games keep getting bigger and harder, and we just keep stepping up to the plate and smashing it out.
Absolutely. And we've got a little bit to wait until the draw. What, we've got 8 days, on the 15th. What are you hoping for, mate?
I don't really care. I think we're one of the most feared teams in Europe again, and whoever it is, we'll figure out how to beat them. Yeah, but who is in the hat right now? We got Spurs and Porto.
Ajax.
And Ajax, yeah. Oh, I have to say, after watching Ajax beat Madrid, I did think, well, that's probably a more insurmountable challenge.
Yeah.
And if they can do it, we can definitely do it.
Absolutely. I mean, it did seem to all flowing in the way of the sleeping giants, Ajax and Manchester United, and it was great to see Madrid bow out like they did. They've obviously had a great run in Europe. I mean, what I'll say about the draw, Scott, is there's one team that no one else in Europe wants to draw right now, and it's Manchester United.
Correct, and that's how it should be. And it was great to see Edwin van der Sar enjoying himself as much as he was, and hopefully for Ronaldo to see that Manchester is his real home.
And let's have a little chat about the end there. As you said, you touched on Pogba and Evra singing in the crowd, but again we had Eric Cantona down in the dressing room with Alex Ferguson and Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. We popped the picture up on our Instagram account at United 100 Podcast. My favourite picture of, I don't know how long, but a very, very, very long time. So good to see Fergie so happy, and so good to see the Three Kings back together again.
It just mirrors what we're all feeling, right? And I don't know. I was walking into work on Thursday looking like Conor McGregor the way I was walking. I just felt like I was 12 feet tall.
I can't stop whistling. I either just can't get enough, or Ollie's at the wheel, one or the other, on loop.
It's a great time to be a United fan, and for all those believers, feels like a perfect payback.
It really does, Scott. And as we mentioned earlier, Ollie does not have a contract with Mulder anymore. It was torn up when he joined Manchester United. You can't have 2 contracts as a manager. Obviously, all the messages Ollie's sending is that he knows he's got the job. I know in the press conference they try to push him on the issue, and he wasn't having any of it. He was saying, "Look, I'm still the same. I'm still doing the best job I can do, And they tried to push and they tried to say, oh, but how can you prepare for next season if you don't know if you're the boss or not? And he said quite simply, I'm a fan as well. I want what's best for Manchester United. Whether I'm the boss or someone else is the boss, I'm still going to give my opinion because I want what's best for this club. And you just after a night like that, when someone could sort of their head could start expanding a little bit, humility and just saying, look, the club's bigger than me. And again, Ollie just saying all the right things at the right times.
I don't know how he does it. I don't know how he keeps managing to just impress us with what he does and what he says. It's unbelievable.
Well, the reason I think that he is doing it is because he loves the club. He loves the club just like we do, Scott. And the thing is that you can pretend to love something, and people see through it. But when there's a real, genuine love and care, like Ollie has for the club, for the fans, the way he greeted the tea ladies and the people in Carrington when he came back, it was just the guy's a genuinely nice guy that genuinely loves Manchester United, and I think that's why he's saying all the right things. He's not trying to say the right things. It's coming from his heart.
Yeah, and what a beautiful heart it is.
It is indeed. It is indeed, buddy. And like I say, so he doesn't have a contract. Do you think we will pull the trigger on it before the end of the season, or do you think we will wait till the summer?
I'll be honest. I think we've already told him behind closed doors our plans for it. I think I was reading last week that he's already doing some promotions for next year to try and get more season tickets bought. I think they've had the conversation, but I think that everything's going so well right now that why would you upset the flow of everything, and just keep on going, and then we'll announce it when it needs to.
Yeah, and we must have a quick mention to Mike Phelan as well and Michael Carrick. I mean, especially Mike Phelan. He's come in again from the wilderness, and I mean, he must be such a strong ally for Ollie in that situation. The experience that Phelan's got, and of working alongside Fergie for all those years, that's a massive plus as well. I'm not taking away from anything Ollie's done. Ollie's done the best possible job he could do, but you're only as good as the team around you. And I think Phelan and Carrick, they've got to take a massive amount of credit too.
100%. I think that it is a team effort, and I think Ollie would be the first one to tell you that.
He is, and he keeps on sending that message. He keeps on sending the message that the team does not end with the 11 people. The management team does not end with him, and the club does not end with the team. It spreads to the supporters and everyone involved in it. He wants us all to be going in the same direction, and it seems like we are.
Yeah, and it's about time.
It really is, Scott. We've waited a long time. We've been through a lot of different managers now to only turn back and look inside and find someone who could have been ours all along.
Yeah, and it makes me wonder what would have happened if Mike Phelan had been kept on as an assistant manager, and he would have, the person who replaced Alex Ferguson would have had more United nous about him instead of just bringing in his own team. But that's history.
Another absolutely superb point, Scott. That's a really, really good point. Now, Fergie's one bit of advice to David Moyes when he gave him the job was keep those good men around you. You've got a good team there. They will guide you. They will help you. And Moyes, like we're saying, Ollie doesn't have the ego. Moyes' ego got in the way, and he was like, no, I know what to do. I'll bring my own guys in, etc., etc. And who knows? Who knows how different it would have been if he had kept Mike Phelan, if Mike Phelan had been there to look after and just steady the ship and push us through that difficult time. That's a really good point, Scott. I think that's it'd be very interesting to go back in time and see what happened. And you kind of look and see, David Moyes, he dug his own grave with that, didn't he?
Yeah, I mean, we did get to the Champions League quarterfinals, but I don't think it could have got any worse.
No, and when you're getting rid of Mike Phelan and bringing in Steve Round, I don't think you should be in the running to be Manchester United boss.
Well, it's what we keep saying, Tom, that it's a job that's bigger than any other job, and the number one thing you need on your resume is a love for Manchester United, and I question whether anyone's love for Manchester United is as strong as Mike Phelan's.
Yeah. And another lovely little tidbit as well. Ollie said he watched the draw back in December with his son Noah, and when PSG came out the hat, the first words out of his mouth were "no chance."
Well, seems like there was a chance at the end.
But first of all, you've got to say how much you love the fact that he's sitting there in Norway with his kid, watching the Champions League draw for the United draw. And secondly, just the bizarre turn of events that he would have had not even the slightest idea that what is going to happen, not even the slightest idea that he would become Manchester United boss even, let alone become the boss and lead us on this mad run.
No, but he still managed to do it, right? And that to me shows even better ability to think on your feet and resilience, and to be able to come into something that you had no preparation for and still do this kind of job just shows that he's naturally suited to be Manchester United. And it was the same when he was a player. He came in and just started banging in goals from the first time he stepped on that hallowed ground at Old Trafford.
Yeah, he did absolutely. He hit the ground running as a player, and maybe he should have said when it came out of the hat is that no chance under Mourinho.
That was where it was at the time, right? And who could have predicted that he was going to come in, let alone that we would have had a chance to beat PSG?
Absolutely, Scott. And we're going to get on to looking forward to the match at the Emirates, the Arsenal game. But as Ollie's come in and he's swept positivity through this club, and he's brought a new way of thinking to the United fans that we kind of been missing for the last few years. So we've got a nice little bit on the podcast, Ollie's life lessons, where we take Ollie's positive attitude, and of course we're all admiring it from afar. But at the same time, when you've got someone who is behaving in a way that that is to be respected, sometimes you can learn a few lessons off him. And he was saying that when he broke his cheekbone when he was playing, and of course when you get an injury as a player, the first thing that most people think is, oh, I'm going to feel sorry for myself. And you go through a period of feeling sorry for yourself, and you waste time, and actually all you're doing is destroying your own life. But what he did is he broke his cheekbone, and he realised, oh, I'm getting a chance to do extra finishing practice here. I'm getting a chance to do extra fitness work here. And what he did is he actually started keeping a diary of all the benefits that he got from that injury. And he said that was a real monumental moment, because and he kept keeping that diary going forward. And just, it's the same in life, you never know what is a blessing and a curse. And if he's spreading that into the team, and this young team, and we have got some amazing youngsters coming through, you've got to say, and if he's giving that positivity to them, I can see him leading United back to the very, very top, playing positive football, playing football that gets people off their seats and leading us back to where we belong.
Yeah, and showing an underlying humility, right, and an ability to see the positives in the negatives, and just work with them.
Yeah, and always moving forward. Never stopping too much to think of what's gone wrong. Always saying, look, what resources have we got right now? What can we do? I mean, we could have gone over to Paris with no hope whatsoever. We had 10 injuries, and our best player, you've got to say Pogba, suspended. There was all the excuses lined up for us to go out there and say, look, we've had a great run. We were never going to beat them in Paris. But Ollie's not having that. He's not having that attitude. He's not having that mentality. And I loved it afterwards. It was, he said, that's what we do. That's what Manchester United do. We believe and we never give up.
Yeah, and we have the ability to just surprise everybody, right? It's one of those nights that just make you feel lucky to be a United fan.
Yeah, and I can guarantee you, Scott, there is fans of other teams all over the country and all around Europe who are thinking, oh my God, they're back. And I hope you've all enjoyed your 5 or 6 years, guys. All your laughing, all your banter club stuff and all the rest of it. Because United are back and we're back to stay.
Yeah, it's just wonderful to watch.
It really is, mate. And then it takes us into Sunday's game at the Emirates, back on the dance floor.
Yeah, talking of banter clubs.
obviously we're flying into that game full of confidence. I'm sure there was quite an energy dump there at the end with us all going absolutely mad. I've got full belief we're going to go to the Emirates and storm it again. Obviously, injury-wise, we've got Martial's probably going to be back, and there's touch and go on Mata too. How do you think we're going to line up, Scott?
I maybe wouldn't rush Martial back. I'd have him on the bench. I think that the 11 that played in Paris with Delot instead of Bailly, probably, I wouldn't upset the momentum too much. But it's back to the attitude of whatever team he plays is going to be the best team that could possibly be fielded. So I have complete faith in our manager again. Whatever team he wants.
Who would you take out personally for Pogba?
Oh, Sorry, I forgot about that. I would maybe say Pereira.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Fred was fantastic. I think McTominay was fantastic. I'm not too sure. Whatever Ollie decides is the best call.
Yeah, I agree, and I would go with that too. I think Andreas, he's been, I mean, he's obviously had a great run. I think he probably is absolutely knackered at the moment. He seemed to be sort of running on empty a little bit. And yeah, Fred had a really, really, I think his best performance in the United shirt on Wednesday.
I think what Ollie was saying about his performance was that we seem to play a bit more of the system that he was used to from his time at Donetsk, playing more of a 4-4-2, but more compact midfield. And he still brings a lot of flair, but he's an industrious midfielder, and I'm liking him more and more every time I see him now.
Yeah, I think it was just a sort of culture issue. He took a little bit of time to settle in. Ollie did say that he was there when Veron and Diego Forlan took a while to settle in. Sorry, and I love the way Ollie picks on that the experience of the past, and he picks on his experience with South American players, and he's speaking to Fred and saying, look, I've seen this before. Veron, obviously a worldwide renowned player, international, world class player, you have to say, came in and he struggled. So Ollie's able to pass on that information to Fred, settle him down, and say, look, it's just a South American thing. Sometimes it takes a little while to settle. I would say that was his arrival. He became a Manchester United player on Wednesday night.
Yeah, I think that's spot on with your with his analysis and with your comments towards that. I think that the first couple of years we only really saw the real Juan Veron when it came to Champions League games, when the tempo wasn't quite as frantic.
Yeah, absolutely. And also we normally played the sort of 4-5-1, didn't we? In Europe under Fergie, or the 4-3-3, 4-5-1 hybrid. And that suited Veron much better than, say, the 4-4-2 that we used to play in the league as well.
Yeah, but I think it was kind of unfair criticism because he came in and automatically just had to play better than Roy Keane and Paul Scholes in order to be successful, and that was a feat in itself.
Yes, and actually he's quite underrated for his performances under us. Veron, he wasn't that bad. He was actually quite good. It was just what we expected from him, the level we expected. He never quite hit those standards, his own standards. But as a United midfielder, he was decent.
I completely agree with you.
Yeah. And as I say, on to the Emirates. Do you have a prediction for me this time, Scott? You were spot on the other day. You predicted a 3-1. And so, have you still got your crystal ball in front of you?
Well, I hope so. I would go with a 2-0 win. I would say Lukaku's going to be good for a goal again, and I hope from his the confidence that Marcus Rashford just seems like he's getting more and more these days. He's going to score another one himself.
And who's on dance duty?
Pogba's back, mate. There's only one.
I'm actually going to go for 3-1
Yeah.
again. I think Arsenal pinch one. I think we have too much for them in attack, and I think it's another 3-1 for United.
And I think seeing Arsenal lose 3-1 last night was
Absolute shambles again, Scott.
yeah, and it seems that their fans are turning on them again.
Yeah, well, you've got things like, did you see the Gwynzui, or however you say his name, was trotting back, and Aaron Ramsey, I think he had about a 15-yard head start on Aaron Ramsey, and Aaron Ramsey steamed back to try and intercept the cross. He just fell short, and obviously they scored. But if Gwynzui had actually ran instead of trotting, he would have definitely got there. It was shambolic stuff again from Arsenal.
Yeah, I didn't personally see the game, but I did read some of the reports afterwards, and it just seems like a few of them aren't trying as hard as they should be, and it's really it's a real shame to see because no matter what happens with us at the moment, you can't fault anyone for their effort, and everyone is trying as hard as they possibly can, and it just seems like different problems for the different clubs to have.
Yeah, I think we've just got too much confidence, too much positive energy for Arsenal to handle on Sunday. I just can't see them containing us. Yeah, sure, maybe we can leak a goal. I understand we've had a massive week, and like I say, there's probably was a massive adrenaline dump at the end there in Paris. But I just can't see Arsenal finding a way. I can't see them containing this juggernaut that is Manchester United in 2019.
No, I can't either. And I will have to say that the difference in the managers, right? That Ollie seems like he has the utmost faith in his system and his players to do the job needed to do. And seems on the other end that, well, Unai Emery's becoming the 2019 Claudio Ranieri with the amount of tinkering he's doing. And and the amount of systems he's changing mid-game. And I know they did go down to 10 men for a good portion of the game yesterday, but I read that he brought Aaron Ramsey on for Aubameyang and seemed to play him up front. It just seems like he's clutching at straws and getting a bit desperate.
Yeah, it does. He seems to be making decisions for decision's sake rather than making the correct, the decision that seemed the right decision at the time. It seems like he's just trying to tinker, like you say, the tinker man, like Ranieri.
Yeah, it's good for us for Sunday, but it's
Well, I will say, Scott, if someone tries to make my boss wear a bib on Sunday, I'm going to personally get down to the Emirates and take it off him. That was unbelievable. What's going on
what was
there?
that about? But it just showed that he's got the Midas touch, mate. Maybe that bib was black when he put it on, and he managed to turn it gold because he's just so special.
It was incredible stuff because the mad thing is that Tuchel was wearing black as well. So if it's a colour clash, then surely it's a colour clash for both managers, right?
Yeah, but it's just go with it, Ollie. And no matter what colour bib they make you put on, just be yourself and do whatever you want, mate.
You were hoping that he was on the subs bench, weren't you? A la Scholes against City back in the day.
I thought he could sneak himself on there. Yeah.
That was a mad day. That was against City, wasn't it? When you're just settling down and then the team news comes through, and Scholesy's on the bench, number 22. What's going on? Unbelievable.
Never forget that. I do have to say that Paul Scholes is my favourite player of all time. And when that happened, I was celebrating like we just scored. In fact, I think that was the biggest celebration I had that day, even though I think we went 3-0 up that day, if you remember rightly.
Yes, and were you still celebrating when he was trying to do 1-2s on the edge of the box? On the edge of our own box?
No, I wasn't. I wasn't. I think he came on, we were 3-0 up and we went to 3-2 pretty quickly. But what a servant he was to our Magic club, and yeah, it's good to see he's brought a bit of his own attitude to the new job at Oldham and keeps him off the punditry jobs, because that was tough to still love Scholesy, but listening to him slag us off every week. No.
Well, he doesn't have a pundit job anymore, does he? Because his mo was slacking off United and Mourinho, and now there's nothing to slag off. We're just a lovable organism again, aren't we?
Yeah, and I do remember you said that after he put in a few of these pundit performances where he was very, very critical about us, that maybe Fergie just banned him from the cameras. It wasn't though he was camera shy all those years, but Fergie just banned him from giving interviews if he was going to come up with stuff like that. And it was spot on.
Yeah, giving away dressing room secrets, slagging up everyone. Unbelievable. You can't control Scholesy. I think that's the moral of the story. You just got to let him run free, do what he wants.
Yeah.
And he did all right for us throughout the years, didn't he, buddy?
Just quietly.
Your number one Manchester United player of all time.
Yeah, I think I got him on 5 different shirts over the years.
Yeah, I must say my all-time player, is Eric Cantona. So seeing him there, seeing him next to Fergie and Ollie, that for me was one of the moments of the night as well. I loved Evra and Pogba celebrating. Wes Brown was in there. Everyone's going potty.
Joel Pereira
Pereira
on loan at a Belgian club, but managed to get the night off to go to Paris and celebrate in the away stand. It was beautiful to see.
And again, saying that we're the best fans in the world.
Well, we are. We all know that. But how good did it make you feel to see all the lads back home, seeing Jesse, seeing Matic, seeing Martial, all going as crazy as we were in front of their screens? I don't think I've ever seen that.
It was incredible to see, pal. It was just after the match. It just the magic just kept flowing, didn't it? That Eric picture popped up, Eric and Fergie, and then the videos started pouring in. You had Pereira, you had the players started posting up their celebrations. You saw the faces of the players, the passion at the end there, all roaring like lions, just like we were all around the world.
Yeah, I don't think you can consider what Jesse Lingard was doing as roaring like a lion, but he was screaming like a little girl, to be honest, just like I was.
That's a fair point. But when your best mate has just stepped up to fire your favourite team into the Champions League quarter final, I think it's fair enough to go a bit mad, eh?
Yeah, one of the favourite pictures I saw was just seeing Jesse FaceTiming with Marcus after the game and seeing the smile on both of their faces and just showing the bromance is as real as we think it is.
Yeah, it is. And there was a lovely little moment the other day, wasn't it, when Rashford and Lingard were talking about they were in the dressing room and Lingard had one of the match day programmes and there was a picture of Rashford and Lingard in there. and he showed it to Rashford. And he said, "That's us."
Yeah, I can't believe it. And he
we,
was touching his
we,
face.
he goes, we play for United, and Rashford was like, yeah, and then he said, but is it really us? How do we know? And Rashford was like, of course we know it's us. He goes, no, but how do we actually know it's us? It's mental, absolutely mental. And you could just imagine, two mates who have supported United all their life sitting there in the dressing room and doing that same thing. It's almost like putting a fan in the dressing room. It's amazing,
Yeah,
amazing
it's
to
the
see.
kind of stuff I would do. And I think it goes to what we're saying about what we want in a manager is just someone who loves the club as much as possible. And when you've got two players with as much skill as those two have, loving the club as much as they do, it's a beautiful, beautiful thing to see.
And I think that's the way the club's changing now. That's the way we are putting this run of results into effect. Is that the love for the club from the players is so evident now. The outward outpouring of love from the fans back into the club is so evident now. We're all pushing in the same direction. And when you think about it, you think of how many fans we've got all around the world. When everyone is pushing in the same direction, that's a pretty hard thing to stop.
That's impossible. The juggernaut. The juggernaut is back. And I think that in the celebration scenes, just seeing Scott McTominay screaming just as loud and as strong as he was, when you love the club as much as that, you never ever stop trying, right? And that's all we want from our players is to give their 110%. And for the entire 95 minutes, whatever it is, or 99 minutes, however many minutes he wants to add on, but just never give up and never stop trying. And I think that's what pushed us over the line on Wednesday.
Yeah, it is, and that is spot on. That is exactly what we want from our players. We've said it all through these years. We said it through the Fergie years. If you give 100%, we've always got your back. The only time I'll ever say, look, that guy's got to go, is when they don't give 100%. And I did say it about Di Maria, when Di Maria was moaning about everything and getting his house broken into and the weather and the food and all the rest of it. He wasn't putting 100% in. And in that situation, you have to say he's not right for Manchester United. But now with the squad we've got now, I can't see anyone in there who's not giving 100%, not pushing in the right direction. And that's what we should have at a club like Manchester United. We don't need passengers. We don't need snakes like Di Maria in the team, in the squad, poisoning the dressing room. We need people who only care about Manchester United and the success of Manchester United.
Yeah, I don't like digging out players past and present, but the second you start telling our fans to where to go, like Di Maria was in the first leg, you sort of cross the line. And another picture that made me very happy after Wednesday was seeing his long face get even longer when that penalty went in, and just seeing him trudge off the field.
Yeah, and Lukaku was all of us, wasn't he? When he wheeled past it, and it was obviously premeditated. I mean, it was not a natural course of action to take from Lukaku. He really had to go, do a full circle round just to let Di Maria know that.
Yeah, it was his first intention to get in a rebound, which is why he was going out the blocks like a sprinter. But the second it went in, he managed to turn around and give a. I mean, he would have given a 2-finger salute if he was allowed to, but the old sucking his thumb and throwing your arms up was good enough.
And it was exactly what I would have done in that situation. I would have gone past Di Maria and then gone to the lads to celebrate. It was fantastic. I must say, Lukaku in the last few games, I never gave up belief in him. I've always supported Lukaku. I do see him as a guy who does give 100% all the time. I know he's had a hard time at times, and sometimes he does look very clumsy. He's a big guy, massive feet, and sometimes he does look a bit clumsy. But man, in these last few
Pretty
games,
good auxiliary centre back at the end of that game, though, wasn't he?
he was superb, absolutely superb, Scott, in all ways, from start to finish. I must say it was a really, really, really top performance from Romelu Lukaku, and my man of the match, I must say.
Oh, that is a fair one. He would be getting my second bottle of champagne. I would have actually given it to Chris Smalling. I
Yeah,
thought I thought we stayed in the game because of his just outrageous interceptions and clearances, and for someone who you don't expect to put in a world class performance, it was a world class performance.
it was, and you did touch on the fact that Mbappe chance, that was a massive turning point in the game, and Chris Smalling was there to close him down after David. David got the first save in, superb save from Dave again. But Mbappe's frightening with his pace, and Smalling was superb against him.
Yeah, it was the performance that we've been hoping that Chris Smalling would put in more often. But when we really needed it, he put it in, and that's all we need.
Yeah, and he has, under Ollie, he's been playing superbly.
He has been.
Chris Smalling. Let's be fair about it. Him and Lindelof as well, and another night for him to be proud of.
Yeah, but the first few games he was pairing Lindelof with Bailly, and they looked like a pretty formidable centre back pairing. And Smalling's managed to worm his way in there and keep it for his own, hasn't he?
He has, and you know, we're talking about different partnerships working and different things working there, and there's one constant in all of this, and that's Ole Gunnar Solskjaer being the boss. Since Ollie's come in, yeah, those partnerships work. Lukaku's scoring, Rashford can play anywhere, Andreas is suddenly playing well again, Fred's playing well again, Shaw's form's gone through the roof. It's kind of like, yeah, sure, those partnerships work and that partnership's working, but the one constant is Ole Gunnar Solskjaer being at the helm.
Yeah, and the belief being back in all our players and just having the utmost confidence in your own abilities, like Fergie used to try and inspire his players, and just staying positive.
Yeah, belief and joy as well. You can see the players are actually enjoying it. You can see the players are loving playing for this club again, because it did. Mourinho at times made it really hard to play with a smile on their faces,
Correct.
I think.
Completely agree with that.
The good times are back, Reds. We can't wait for Sunday. We hope you enjoyed the podcast today. If you did, subscribe on iTunes, like, review, and give us 5 stars. Follow us on Instagram at United100podcast. It's been our pleasure bringing you the podcast today. We'll be back on Monday with another show. Love to Ollie and the boys. Love to United fans all around the world. Thank you so much, Scott. Cheerio, pal.
Ta-da, TC.
One thing's for sure, Reds. United are back.